Should we be concerned about the memo saying ICE will no longer grant bonds?
If you get detained, ICE is supposed to register you and supposed to go through a risk assessment to decide if you are supposed to be detained or not detained, like in a detention center. That's in the past. Nowadays, that mandatory list have expanded based on that new memo. So a lot of people who might even have certain equities are now mandatory detained. My advice is if anybody is in a situation where they are likely to be detained, really plan out your file so you could try to persuade the officer to not detain you, to release you. But if they have to, then immediately make that decision. You can make that decision now. If that happens, what are you going to do? Is the whole family just going to leave, do a voluntary departure, right? Or wait through the whole trial and fight it out?
If detained and have DACA without criminal record and they're married to a U.S. citizen, is that, what's the risk?
I feel like you should be able to get bailed out. The mandatory detention does not really apply to people in your situation unless you have a criminal record, right? Like a severe one. So because you have a U.S. citizen, because you're a DACA recipient, you have enough equities that you can present your file to present to ICE so they can let you out.
If one member of a family is detained, asked for VD, what happens to the rest of the undocumented family members?
I don't know. It depends on what ICE decides to do. So, right, if ICE decides to go out after the rest of the family, then sort of the rest of the family has to do voluntary departure too, right? So it really, I mean, it's not automatic. It's not like you do an action and then it suddenly applies to everybody else.
Can ICE detain U.S. citizens?
They have the authority to check anyone's status, and if they have reason to believe you are not a U.S. citizen or not a green card holder, they have the authority to pick you up and check. And if you get lost in the system for 2-3 weeks as a U.S. citizen because they're checking, well, then you got detained for 2-3 weeks. I'm not saying a hypothetical. This actually happened.
What if you're a U.S.-born citizen and you have your passport on hand? Can you get detained?
I would be so shocked. ICE has one job, right? To figure out who's here, who's not here illegally. And they don't have a data bank. They have to go ask USCIS. So they pick somebody up, goes back to their office, detains them, and checks with USCIS. And so if you have a passport, it's very easy for them to check. And then, you know, your day might be ruined, but at least you won't be detained for 2-3 weeks.
Should I carry my passport with me when I go out and about?
If you get racially profiled, your skin color, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you dress, if you can't speak English, please, just to let you know, I carry it.
Does having disabled kids help ICE cases?
The answer is yes and no. But it's much more important what status they are in. So if they're illegal as well, it actually harms your case, right? But if they are U.S. citizens, and if you have a court order that you're supposed to take care of them, if they depend on you, then it changes the calculation from ICE's perspective. But again, under the mandatory detention rule, if you don't qualify for anything, if they have to lock you up, no matter how much equity you convince them of, ICE's hands are tied. That's why I hate the mandatory detention memo, because it shackles the good officers' judgments.